home, right? I feel like we've all been there that we've had that experience of working from home over the last couple of years. So, like Alyssa mentioned, my name's Alicia, and I'm from the Empowering Financial Wellness team through USU Extension. And this is brought to you in part also by the Department of Workforce Services. And today we are going to be talking about making the most of your tax refund. Because it's that time of year again. That time where about 75% of us are anticipating a tax refund, or maybe you've already gotten your tax refund if you were on top of it and got your taxes filed early and had the time for it to be processed. But like what we mentioned, that does also mean that we've had to file taxes. So if you have gotten your taxes done, good job for you. If you haven't, you still have a few days to get on it. So I just want to kind of set the stage with a few questions for you guys to think it or keep in mind as we go throughout the next little bits together. Did you get a big tax refund last year? Are you happy with how your tax refund was used last year? Looking back, is there anything that you wish you would have maybe done differently with your tax refund? Did you maybe feel like the dollars just slipped through your hands or was all of a sudden gone too quickly or quicker than you thought? Um, and when anticipating a tax refund or really any irregular sum of money, it's important to make sure that we have a plan for its use so that you can make the most of it. And so today I will be sharing 10 of my team's favorite ways to make the most of any refund dollars that you have either received already or that you're anticipating receiving. And keep in mind as well that personal finances is just that, personal. And so hopefully some of the things that we talk about today or that I mentioned today will kind of just get the wheels turning. And ultimately what I want you to walk away with is a motivation to have a plan for your tax refund, because if we don't plan out the use for it, it's maybe something that we will look back on and be like, man, I wish that I would have done this or that. Because just driving into my office today, I heard several different commercials on the radio all saying it's the tax return and the tax refund sale of the year. And everybody's trying to get their piece of the pie of our tax refund as well. And then maybe we'll look back and say, it wasn't spent the most intentionally. Quite high wished for. So today we will be talking about a few different things. First of all, we'll talk about making sure that your withholdings are correct. And then also some options, 10 different options for making the most of your tax refund. And like I mentioned, I'm not saying that you have to do every single one of the 10 of them, but hopefully they can just give you some good ideas and maybe motivation to make the most of it or the most intentional decisions with it as well. And I do want to start out with a super quick poll by raise of emojis or a yes in the chat. Give me a hands up if you have already filed your taxes. And that's supposed to be referring to the 2022 taxes that we're working on right now. So either a thumbs up or a hands up. Okay, looks like at least a couple people have, and maybe a couple people are like me and are like, good thing we still have a few more days. And then I also just want to hear maybe in the chat what you think the average tax refund has been in the US for this tax filing season. If you think that it's A, B, C, or D. So 1905, 2972, 3150, or 3039. Okay, so we've got a couple of different answers that have come in, and the correct answer is be 29.72. So 2,972 has been the average refund so far for those who had filed their taxes through March 10th is the most updated that I could find. And that is unfortunately down by about 11% from last year. And that just goes to show that it's even more important to make sure that we have a plan for how we are going to use those funds that we do receive so that we can make sure they're used most intentionally and the way that we're going to be happiest with as well. And so we'll go ahead and move into our first objective, having a little paycheck checkup and reviewing and evaluating our withholdings. And as we are talking about taxes and tax refunds today, it's a great time to briefly talk about having just a little check-in with your withholdings and make any adjustments to your withholding status that you might find are needed. So think to yourself, here are a few questions to think about. Are you having too much taken out of your paycheck each month or too little? How much money are you having withheld from your paycheck each month is one of the big things that's going to determine if you have a tax refund or if you get a tax bill, and also the size of that you receive when it comes tax time, like where we are right now. And some things to think about as far as your situation that might prompt you to adjust your withholdings would be changes to your dependents, your marital status, if you have a second job, or if you've maybe gotten divorced or different things like that, some of those life changes that would affect our income as well. And it's important that we check in with the payroll department about how to update your withholdings and your withholding status. That can be done on Banner, and just checking in and making sure that it's accurate, especially if you have changed positions within the university, or maybe if it's just been a little bit since you've checked in, because as we see right here in 2020, the W-4 form changed pretty considerably. So if you haven't taken a look at your withholdings since 2020, so in the last couple of years, now might be a good time just to make sure that it is accurate and what you need it to be. And so why we're talking about this right here is that decreasing those withholdings, or how much is being withheld each month for taxes, can give you access to more of your money throughout the year, so that you can be investing it, paying down debt, putting it towards savings for your different goals, or just really being able to weather the continued high inflation that we're still experiencing as well, because then you can have more money to work with on a month-to-month basis as well. And so if you would rather get a little bit of a bigger paycheck instead of that potentially big refund next year, you might consider going on to Banner and making changes to your W-4 form. And it is just important to make sure that you don't reduce it by too much, though, because then if you reduce it by too much, then you'll end up having to owe next year, which nobody really likes to do that as well, because then too little is being taken out each month. As well. And so another way that you can make sure that your withholdings are where they need them to be or where you would like them to be, you can go onto the IRS website and they have a withholding calculator on there. They can help you make sure that you're getting it right in that sweet spot where you would like it to. Because if we are getting a large refund each tax season, that's a pretty good size interest-free loan that we're loaning to the government throughout the year, that maybe we would benefit from having that extra money throughout the year on a month-to-month basis, so that we don't have to charge things on credit cards as much, or different things like that as well. So that's something that I definitely encourage you to just take a few minutes and do. Go on Banner or even contact the payroll department and just make sure that your withholdings are where you would like them to be as well. And so moving on to our second objective, some ways to make the most of your refund. So I'll have 10 different ways. And like I mentioned, you may consider just picking out a couple of them to apply in your lives with your situations. But like I mentioned, the IRS is warning taxpayers that during this tax filing season, that they should be unfortunately expecting smaller refunds. And that is due to pandemic relief measures that have been allowed to expire. So some of those bigger credits or credits that were newer during the pandemic that have expired. And like I mentioned, thus far, they've seen about a 10 to 11% average drop. And so another big reason for that is that there were no stimulus payments from the government, which I think we all probably enjoyed those to some extent or another. But with many people that are receiving tax refunds that are smaller, like I mentioned, it's just important to make sure that we have a plan in place for how we're going to use it so that we can be happy with how it is used. So our first one is emergency savings. So you may consider just starting with $100. I'm not telling you concrete numbers that you have to do for your situation. With these different tips, I'm going to give you some suggested numbers or some examples, but feel free to tailor these things to your situation as well. You may start with $100, take $100 out of your tax refund and put it in a designated savings account that's just for your emergency savings. And then you may consider just working up from there throughout the year up to $1,000. Or you might consider taking $1,000 of your tax refund and putting into emergency savings. Your ultimate goal is 3 to 6 months of your necessary expenses being saved aside for emergencies. But really, the amount of money in your emergency fund should be an amount that helps you to sleep at night, is what I heard that I loved the most, or one that really helps you to have peace of mind that you're prepared for when life happens. Because, like what we've seen over the last couple of years, it's not so much a matter of if emergencies or bumps in the road are going to happen, but more so when they are going to happen. So consider putting a portion there for emergency savings. Also, jumpstarting your revolving savings is another one. So just briefly, a little bit of a reminder about what a revolving savings is used for. It's used for those irregular but expected expenses that come up through the year, like your car registration or the holidays or birthdays or your anniversary. And so those are things that we don't have happen on a monthly basis. But with a revolving savings, it helps you to save for these smaller amounts on a monthly basis so that you are prepared for those months when those expenses occur. So then you aren't so burdened in those months of like, where's all that money going to come from? Or, oh no, now I have to put it on a credit card and carry that balance going forward. And so putting a lump sum deposit into your revolving savings from your tax refund can help you to need to put a smaller monthly deposit into it so that then it's maybe not quite as overwhelming to your budget going forward. Or if you have some of those expenses that are irregular that come up shortly after starting this, putting that lump sum deposit can help you make sure that you're ready for when those expenses start coming through as well. And then this is just a little example about what a revolving savings could look like. You would just simply chart out when these irregular expenses come up throughout the year and get yourself a total for those expenses and then a grand total for the year. And then you can divide it either by 12 or by your amount of paychecks if you aren't paid on a monthly basis, if you're paid 2 times in the month. And then that would be how much you would save on a per paycheck or per month basis as well. And that's something that can be really helpful, at least from a stress management standpoint as well. Our third one is contributing to your retirement savings as well. So I don't know if you guys all knew this, but thanks to inflation, they have raised the contribution limits on an annual basis for Roth and traditional IRAs. And that has been raised from $6,000 up to $6,500 per individual. So you may consider taking a portion of your tax refund and contributing to an IRA for yourself. And it is important to kind of weigh out in your own situation whether a Roth would be better or a traditional would be better for your situation. In a nutshell, a Roth is where you pay the taxes right now on the money that is going into it, and a traditional is where you pay the taxes when you withdraw the money. And like what it says up here, this is a tax advantaged way of contributing and saving for retirement as well. Or yes, you could take a little bit of your tax refund and invest it in a brokerage account. And so that would be an account that's with E-Trade or Charles Schwab or Morningstar, just to name a couple of pretty popular ones, or Fidelity as well. And so that would usually be in mutual funds or in stocks in the stock market. But you may consider putting a little bit of your money there and making your money work for you this coming year. And as we've now talked about a couple of different forms of saving that we could do with some of our tax refund, I just wanted to talk really briefly about naming your savings. This is something that experts have seen to help people significantly increase their success in reaching their savings goals. And so I want to encourage you guys to do this, to set up a couple of savings accounts and name them specifically for the goals that money is for. So have a savings account that is specifically for emergencies, or an account that is specifically for your revolving savings, just to name a couple of them. And most online banks or credit unions do allow you to create these sub accounts or just separate accounts without having minimum balances or fees associated as well. There are some banks out there that do charge fees for having just an account open. So I would recommend looking for the ones that don't charge a fee for that as well. Get specific with it, because there are some benefits that can come from naming your savings. First of all, you are better able to track your progress towards your goals, because how do you really know how well you are doing at reaching your goals if you just have one all-encompassing savings account? So you can better track your progress, and then also avoid misspending. So you might be less tempted to steal from your specific account if it has a name to it, and then increase your motivation as well. Stick with institutions with no fees, have a system to track them, and also maybe even look for bonuses for opening accounts as well. Sometimes I see that banks and credit unions offer a little bonus of $50 or $100 for opening an account. So keep an eye out for those things as well. Also, I have some numbers that might blow you guys' minds here on these next couple of slides. So my fourth tip is make an extra payment on your mortgage. Make sure that when you do this, that your lender and servicer will allow you to do it. And then also make sure that you designate it to go towards the principal balance of your mortgage, not just prepaying for the next month, but that it is designated as an extra payment towards the balance. So I do have an example for you. So we're going to say that we have a $350,000 mortgage with a 4.5% interest rate. They were able to lock that rate in before the interest rates went up further. And so their payment is around $1,800 a month. And so they are going to take a portion of their tax refund. Remember, I mentioned that the average is around 2,900 or 3,000 right now. So they're going to take a portion of their tax refund and make one extra payment towards their mortgage. And if they were to continue that habit or that practice each year when tax time comes, they will shave off 4 years from their mortgage payoff time. So take their 30-year mortgage and cut it down to 26 years. And it's going to save them over $47,000 in interest right there, just by making that one extra payment each year. So something that I definitely consider, or definitely encourage you guys to consider, because I can think of some pretty great things that I could do with $47,000 extra. I don't know about you guys, but the next one is pay extra towards a credit card balance. And so I do have a couple of examples for this as well. So here's an example of what it would look like if you only made the minimum payments on your credit card. And so right now, the average balance that's being carried from month to month is around $6,000. It's a little higher than that here in Utah, but we're going to $6,000. And then the monthly payment, or the monthly minimum payment, we'll say is $100. And the average interest rate for credit cards right now is 19%. The payoff time would be 15 years and 11 months. And there's supposed to be another zero on here as well. But the total interest you would pay just by making the minimum payments would be over $13,700. So you would end up paying over $19,000 just to get that $6,000 balance paid off. So if you were to pay an extra $20 each month above the minimum payment, that's going to shave off over 7 years. So cut your payoff time in half, down to 8 years and 4 months. And your total interest paid goes all the way down to $59.82. So that's about $8,000 that you saved right there, just by $20 extra per month. And then we're also going to say that you keep up that $20 extra above the minimum payment, and you put $750 of your tax refunds towards it, as well as a lump sum payments towards the balance. And that cuts off 2 more years from getting your credit card paid off. And it cuts your interest paid down to $3,800. So that's $10,000 lower from what we started with, from just making minimum payments as well. So some pretty eye-opening numbers right there as well. And then continuing on to our next tip is number 6 is preparing for student loan repayments. And we're not going to get into the politics of this because there is still a lot that's unknown as far as the student loan forgiveness as well. But here in America, the average balance of student loans is about $39,000. And so whether the student loan forgiveness goes through or not, many people in America will still need to be preparing for repayments to resume here in the relatively near future as well. And so you could consider taking a small portion of your tax refund and setting it aside as like a cushion for when repayment starts and that pause ends, so that then you are ready for that. Because with the $39,000 average balance, that puts you at about a $430 a month payment as well. So that's just something to consider, keep in mind as well. And so I do encourage you to go to refund.org and see for yourself today. If you're like, I don't know if I really believe that the numbers are quite that great with the examples that you showed, feel free to go to PowerPay. It's completely free and plug in your own numbers and see how much just a little bit from your tax return could save you in time and money as well. Number 7 is building and adding to your food storage. As we're all probably pretty well aware, there are many different benefits that can come from having food storage. Less trips to the store for just that 1 or 2 things that you're out of that then turns into 10 things. So less impulse buys as we are stocked up on things. And then also just the peace of mind and being prepared for when different things happen in life, whether it's that our income drops down or that disaster happens or anything like that, that then we are just prepared a little bit more. And then also having things kind of bought ahead of time for your food storage helps you to not be paying the highest cost for items usually, especially if you're able to stock up when those things are on sale. And really a lot of times people are like, I can't build up anything in food storage because things at the grocery store cost too much, but it doesn't have to be expensive. There's quite a lot of different shelf stable things that you can get for pretty inexpensively as well. So definitely encourage you to consider adding to your food storage or starting to build it up as well. And then number 8 is do something fun, because money is meant to be enjoyed. And I'm not going to sit here and lecture you on all the different other things to do with your tax return. That's maybe not the funnest things, but I do also want to encourage you to do something fun with a little bit of it, even if it's just a relatively small amount, but have some that you do something fun with, because there are lots and lots of different either free or inexpensive ways to have fun together as a family or individually or whatever your situation is. Or an idea is that you could consider setting aside maybe a monthly amount in a separate savings account, like what we talked about. You could call it your fun fund or something like that. And maybe it's $25 that you have set aside per month. So that's $300 from your tax return that you have set aside, so that then you have some more freedom throughout the year to do. Maybe it's one more fun thing together as a family throughout the year for $25, or that then you can justify going out to eat one more time per month or something like that. But keep in mind that it doesn't have to be a really big and stressful or overbearing thing that we do for it to be a fun thing. And it doesn't have to take your entire refund as well. So get creative. I do have some fun with a portion of your refund as well. Number 9 is to give. There are some people that I talk to that don't give because they don't feel like they have enough to do so. And that is totally understandable as well. But having this extra money come your way might provide you the opportunity that you feel like you can give. And how you choose to give is totally up to you. Whether you choose to take a day off and go do some service for somebody, or you give money, or you give things to someone else that is in need, or to an organization. But that is totally up to you as well. But there are lots of local opportunities to be giving and serving as well, that it's important that we consider and look into before we maybe look at those bigger or further out there things. There's lots of things that we can do here in Cache Valley to help out others. Even up on campus as well, there are some great opportunities to give and serve as well. And giving is good for your health. It's good for your mental health, for your physical health. It's overall just a good thing to be doing. So consider doing that in some way or another, even if it's just $5 that you buy somebody ice cream or buy somebody a tree or some flowers or something, but find some way to do a good deed for somebody else. And then also one other aspect of giving is that you could contribute a little bit of your tax refund to your children's 529 savings fund. And so that's a fund that's specifically for college savings. And so you may consider using some of your refund to contribute to that as well. So then you are giving that gift to your children as well, or your future children. And then the last tip is investing in yourself. So you may consider taking a little bit of your refunds to invest in skills that you already have, or learning new skills and developing new skills as well. And so that could be considered as furthering your education, taking a class to get a certification so that then you are learning new things, or even just investing in a hobby that you're interested in, or that you've maybe started but you stopped because funds weren't quite there for you to keep going with it. And these things right here where you're investing in yourself can also be helpful in increasing your income as well, but then also just helping you to be happy as well, as you are investing in yourself, taking care of yourself, and also providing yourself with even more opportunities as well. And so I do want to leave you with a couple of action items before, as we're wrapping up. So talk to the payroll department and have a quick checkup with your withholdings and see if there are any adjustments that need to be made as well. And then also just take a little bit of time to come up with a plan for meaningful use of your tax refund dollars. So if that's by yourself or as a family, and see what are the things that you would like to do with your refund. Because like I mentioned, everybody out there, all the grocery stores, the furniture stores, everybody is trying to get a piece of your refund. And it is important to make sure that you plan out how you would like to use it that's going to be most meaningful to you, so that it doesn't slip through your hands quicker than you anticipated it. And then I do want to just let you know about a couple of great resources that my team has available. And feel free, if you guys have any other ideas or any questions, to start putting them in the chat as well as we're wrapping up. But the first resource that I wanted to talk about briefly is our PowerPay Money Master online course. It can be found at powerpay.org. And since we're Utah residents, you can click apply for a fee waiver and do it completely free. It's a self-paced online course that's a deeper dive into personal finance topics. And it's video and worksheet based, so it helps make things easier to understand. And then also a little bit funner as well. And then my team's website is finance.usu.edu/EFW. And you can see the other classes that we're teaching or the other free resources that we have available there as well. And I would also love to hear your feedback of what you thought about this class, what you found helpful, how we can continue improving as well. And then we will also send out prizes as well. So you can scan this QR code. It'll just take about 2 to 3 minutes to fill out. And then here in a minute, I can try and pop the link in the chat as well. And then we do also have a blog and social media. It's utahmoneymoms.com, and then at Utah Money Moms on social media. And we're just trying to help make finances easier to understand as well. And we have lots of other great free resources on there as well. And so I hope that this was a good experience for you guys. And I hope that you guys have a great day. And feel free to put any questions in the chat or unmute yourselves.